So here we go. I'm going to show you how to use the Mancini spring compressor. I'm going to throw in my new valves, or not my new valves, but I'm going to put my valves back together. Springs and everything. We'll just go step by step on how you do this on a workbench. I found that if you got a wood workbench like I do, the best thing to do is to take a screw and just a little piece of, some household hardware and clamp. This is the best way I do it. It's super quick and easy to clamp my head down to the table so it doesn't try to flip on me when I'm pulling on the lever. See, I'm nice and secure. So first thing I got to do is I got to put my rubbers on the valve guides. So tall ones go on the intakes, or at least that's how this was, and short ones go on the exhaust side. I don't know why they're two different styles of rubbers, but it is what it is what it came like. These are nice and pliable. Usually they're all hard and crusty by the time you rebuild a set of heads. Okay, so now we got that. I've had all my valves and springs in order of how I took them off my heads. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this spring compressor, and it bolts right to the shaft, rocker shaft mounts. It bolts to 2 at a time, so you can do two valves at one time. So you just screw these in, tighten it down a little bit. Doesn't have to be much, just enough. And then I'm going to get a couple of keepers out. This usually goes pretty quick. The more you do it, the easier it gets. So my springs are kind of in order here. These are my exhaust. The springs for the exhaust side over in front of me here, and then the other springs for the intakes are on a shelf up top. Now you can see my valves are a little loose because they're not quite hitting the table down there, but I should have enough room. So what I do is I find my washer, or my shim. Make sure everything's kind of cleaned off. Put your shim in place. Put your spring. These are comp cam springs for the cam that I have. So now you just take your compressor, line it up, kind of look and see where your valve stem is. You can move the retainer around. You need 2 retainer clips. So I'll pull. I usually like to put one of the clips in the back first. Make sure it drops in place. Sometimes you have to move the spring around and let it go. Voila, just like that. Super simple. So there's the exhaust side. Reach up here, grab the intake side. The shim on the intake is going to be a little different. It's going to be grooves, have little grooves in it. And that sits on there. Spring goes in place. Grab this, kind of line them up a little bit. Make sure it looks like it's in line. Grab a retainer clip. Set it in there, drop down, bada boom, bada bing. I mean, once you get it down, this stuff is real, it's real smooth. It goes right in place. Then you take these off, these bolts out, and you just move down the line. Your biggest challenge is to make sure that all your, how you took things off are going back on in the same order. Especially your valves. I guess the springs, it's not that big a deal, especially if it's all brand new stuff. These springs are brand new, so I guess it's not really that crucial that they are in any specific order. Well, it's not at all. The valves, yeah. The valves you want to be putting back in the right spot. That's already been done. So we'll do it again. We'll get an exhaust side. Make sure when you're putting these shims in, you're putting them back in the right side. You can mix them up. I've seen them mixed up before. So, your exhaust is on the 2 outsides and then the 2 insides. So it's not like exhaust, intake, exhaust, intake. It's exhaust, intake, intake, exhaust, exhaust, intake, intake, exhaust. So you got to make sure you got those going in order when you put them back. So one more time, we're going to try to line up the stem so I have room to put the keeper in. Once in a while, once I put a little pressure on, I'll push with a screwdriver to give me a gap in the back side so this retainer clip drops in properly. And that one's in the back. Put one in the front. Boom. Just like that. Done. Now I'll move back over to the intake with the intake shim. Slide this over, grab a couple more clips. Make sure I'm in line. Just said, give myself a little extra room. If you've got a little bit smaller hands, it helps. Having big paws, getting your fingers in between here sometimes is a little tough, but I got pretty big hands, and as you can see, it wasn't that difficult. It's still pretty simple to do. It's a real quick and easy way to do this. With your heads off. Obviously, everything's going to be more challenging if your heads are in your car. I think this will work inside the car. You may not have enough room to swing around certain areas, like, if your brake cylinder or your master cylinder can be in the way, things like that. But you should, if you got the time to move stuff around, you should be able to do it right in the car. Obviously, you want each piston to be at TDC so your valves don't fall out. But on a bench, if you're doing this on a bench, this is super easy. I think this is one of the easiest ways. It's a great tool. When I bought this tool, it said it was for a big block. They don't tell you, it works for both big block and small block heads. This one drops right in place. So I think it was like $169 from Mancini or something like that. But it's a pretty quick process once you get it down. Boom, just like that. Okay, intake. See, I had to look for a second to make sure I had the right spring, the right shim. Keeper goes in, down, till it hits the right position. Boom. Couple minutes in one bank is all it takes, and you got them in. It's a pretty easy process. Sometimes it's intimidating. I've used other tools before. The key is to make sure everything is nice and secure so you don't have stuff flopping around, moving around on you. It makes life a lot easier when you don't have a spring shoot off and your keepers go flying across your workspace, your workroom or your garage or wherever you're working, and you lose them. Nothing more fun than that. Because you're sure enough, these little guys can definitely disappear. And what's the saying? Ask me how I know. It's real easy to happen if you're not careful. The only downfall I can say about this is this handle slides off, and if you're in a hurry and not paying attention and not careful, and you're pulling on this thing could be up here and pop right out. You're going to smack yourself in the forehead. Ask me how I know. So I got one more to go. Make sure the shim is clean enough. Spring on. Make sure I'm kind of lined up good. Even moving the chair over helps. This one. Spring is a little funny feeling, so let's see. All I got to do is get one keeper in, and it will help line things up. Okay. Boom. Voila. Done like dinner. It's a great tool. It's worked the best for me so far. I've had the ones where you clamp onto the spring and pull the spring down. It just never seems to pull everything evenly. Mancini, I think, like I said, 149 or 169. I mean, you could really, if you look at the construction, you could probably make something with no problem. But quick and easy. All the valves are in. She's good to go. Unscrew your hold down. All the valves nice and tight. Next step, brake clean the whole thing off, put a valve cover on, old valve cover, take things off, paint her up, get her engine color, and she'll be ready to go in. Alright, hope that was give you guys an idea, if you haven't done this before, of how simple it can be to replace your springs. It's not that complicated. You just got to, be aware that stuff can go flying if you're not careful. Make sure things are secure. Get a good tool. This is a good tool. Simple. The simpler the tool, the easier the job, I feel. You saw how easy that was. We've been here 10-15 minutes. Got all 8 springs in. Hopefully that helps you guys out. All right. Please like and subscribe. We'll see ya.